Okay, it's late and we know this and we don't fucking care. Okay, we don't. We not at all. We don't want to hear you bitching and moaning. Oh, you guys did a show already tonight. Don't watch. But seriously, we are doing this show because number one, I wanted to do this last night. I just ran out of time, and I was going to do it alone. But uh, I don't want to do this alone. I've got my pal Seth, who really is. I mean, we're both huge Halloween fans, and but Seth was probably more so excited about the launch of these movies than I was initially. And so what we're going to do before I bring Seth in is we're going to just kind of reflect on the David Gordon Green Blumhouse trilogy of Halloween movies. Obviously I decided to put them out there for you all to see. It took me forever, by the way, to buy Halloween Ends. But you've got Halloween, worst fucking title ever, Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. I don't know why they just make it Halloween Returns. This whole thing, and I'll get Seth in here in a minute. This whole thing where they do the title of the original movie as a sequel, it pisses me off. I fucking hate it. Candyman and Candyman. I don't like when they do that. I think it's the dumbest fucking thing ever. It's how confusing can it be for people, especially new people coming to the series. It's like, oh, I'm going to watch Halloween. Which one? There are three different Halloweens now. When does it end? And then in 2028, I have a feeling we're going to get another Halloween movie. What are they going to call it? Halloween, because this series is done. It's closed out completely. And then we've got two threads that are still open with at the end of Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, and Halloween Resurrection, because we never did get Halloween Retribution, I think is what it was going to be called. So there's like so many things that are going on with a series. It's all fucked up. We're going to do a massive show on the Halloween series at some point with Seth and myself on this show, which we will stop being on Sunday nights because Discourse is going to Sundays. This show is going to come to Wednesdays, and we're going to rename it, and I think we're going to call it Horror Movie Massacre. What's up? I love that fucking title. That was the title I wanted to use, the Horror Syndicate, but nobody liked it. They're like, oh, let's call it the Horror Syndicate. And I was like, so anyway, bring in Sethy, and we'll get going. Seth, how'd you like my rant? Did you hear that? All that? I'm such a bitch.
You're so angry, man.
So angry. Well, they don't call it Rage of Rayzor for nothing. But anybody who watches this, please comment. Let us know what you feel about these movies. As we're going to break them down one by one. We'll start with the 2018 film. We will share the audience scores. And, I think we can reflect on our feelings at the time leading up to and the release of each of these movies because it was pretty recent history. I mean, 2018, 2021, and 2022. And I remember Seth being so bummed when they pushed Halloween Kills back in 2020 because of the pandemic. But leading to it, Seth, we're gonna do what we do on the normal show. Why don't can you give us a synopsis of the entire franchise leading up to this? Well, no, let's do Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. Huh? Just for you,
Good.
buddy.
Good.
And then the other three movies. How about that? Can you do that? Give us kind of this.
You talking about?
An asshole.
Yeah, Can you do it?
Okay, so Carpenter's plus the
Yes,
Blumhouse trilogy.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
hold on. Before you,
Yeah.
I know it's putting you on the spot, but before anybody, like, if you haven't seen this, spoilers ahead. Come on, it's way past time to have seen these movies. And the thing that sucks about all three of these, they're all streaming in different places. What the fuck is going on? Seriously, this franchise is in such a bad place, in my opinion, and it's because of these three movies. And now they're on different streaming platforms. It's fucking ridiculous. Go ahead. Sorry. And I'm not sorry.
Wow.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Passion,
So
buddy. Passion.
basically this little 6-year-old asshole named Michael Myers and then stood dumbfounded with his parents outside the house for probably a good 20 minutes before police showed up. They all just stood there silent, posing. And so this little asshole, he goes to Smith's Grove, where he's under the care of Dr. Loomis, who is a goddamn hero. And 15 years later, he escapes. He goes back to his old stomping grounds, and he sets his sights on this random person named Laurie Strode and her friends, and he does Laurie a favor by killing her obnoxious friends who are assholes to her, because those aren't really the friends that she needed. Annie was a bit to her, and Linda said totally too much, so I think that kind of justified it. But Laurie manages to defend herself a little bit, and then Loomis comes in and shoots him a bunch of times, and evil does not die that night.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So then 40 years later, Michael's captured that night. Yeah. And 40 years later, with the help of his obsessive doctor named Sartain, he escapes and he goes on a rampage through Haddonfield. Evil does not die that night either, unfortunately. No. And then there's a time gap, and then all of a sudden this Corey guy comes in and seriously, like, fuck Michael.
Back up. Who?
Corey Cunningham.
An asshole.
Corey Cunningham. Yes. He's a little bitch who gets bullied by band geeks, and he manages to take down Myers and steal his mask.
So, yeah, pretty much that covers it. So, these movies are the most divisive of the Halloween series. You remember, before 2018 was released, the most divisive was more than likely Halloween 3, which technically doesn't fall into the timeline with Michael Myers anywhere in the numerous timelines. Seth wrote this fantastic article breaking down all the different timelines for Halloween. We'll get to Sean Sheridan wrote us an entire book before we went live for the second show. But I want to remind everybody, I forgot to do it when I was ranting. Subscribe to the Horror Syndicate, please, on YouTube. We've got a lot of videos going on, got a lot of shit happening, and we got the horrorsyndicate.com to check out as well. But yeah, I found this little timeline infographic thing, how to watch a movie, but they kind of leave out the fact that there's the anthology movies. There's no line going to Halloween 3 from Halloween 1, which you can do that. You can even do 1, 2, then Halloween 3 as the anthology was supposed to be. But yeah, we definitely want to hear from you, the viewers at home, the gentle viewers, and we'll respond to your comments and read them if they're legible and intelligible. And but let's look at Sean, because he put all this effort into this book he wrote. He says Halloween 2018 was a solid return to the franchise. Laurie was trash, being a Sarah Connor ripoff. That aside, it's the best of that. Okay, that aside, there's no punctuations in this. That's why I have a hard time reading it. He's from England. You'd think he'd be better at English considering his country spawned the goddamn language. That's from Snatch.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he's from England or not. I just wanted to say that. It is the best of 3. Maybe Kills was trash. Minus Myers, Evil Dies Tonight is cringe. The once was fine. If they would have just said that once, it would have been cool. Evil Dies Tonight. The rest of the actors, Barr, Allison, Karen, Hawkins, and Laurie are toilet worthy in the acting department. Okay. Yeah, I like Allison. Karen's my favorite character in this, and I love Hawkins as well. ends. I love the new direction, but it was the wrong movie to do it in. Yes, this is the Spider-Man 3 of the series. They have several ideas shoved into one movie, and it's overstuff. Still solid. There's a lot wrong with this movie, the third movie, and we're going to get into that. It happens. It won't happen. But if we ever got another Halloween movie, I'm happy to let the series rest. Yeah, maybe we should. Well, Halloween Kills is getting off Max HBO at the end of this month. Whatever. Not whatever to you. Just what this streaming bullshit. It's like Peacock and then Max and then HBO Max and then fuck-a-doodle-doo. He terrorizes South Pasadena. I mean, Haddonfield. Yes, Haddonfield. Should have been 2 movies. They got greedy. Abso-fucking-lutely. Agree with that. I think Halloween Kills would have been a great final movie. I know there's a bootlegger who does I don't know, honestly, because the internet wasn't as much of a thing back then, and it was hard to be divisive over this. By the time I got on Facebook and social media, everybody just said Halloween Resurrection just sucks. It does. But hit the like button to share this out, please. We want to get as many people in on this as possible, talking about these movies, because it's kind of an important topic, because I feel like Halloween 2018 was a return and a way to usher us back into an age of slasher. And the question is, did it work or did it fail? I think it failed, but not as a movie itself, but as in ushering this generation of new slashers that I was hoping to get, like a new Friday the 13th, a new Elm Street. I think ends may have fucked it up. So let's get into some Halloween. And like I said, we've got your 5-star ratings. So we'll start with Halloween from 2018. And Seth, let's talk about the lead up to Halloween 2018 and the excitement level, because just a couple days ago, I think it was Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, I think, or was it yesterday, was the anniversary of the announcement that Carpenter was coming back and Blumhouse was going to do a new Halloween movie. And I think at the time it was just one Halloween movie. And I remember finding out, and I was like, what? Because we heard rumors of a movie called Halloween Returns, I think that Miramax was going to produce, and it just fell apart. You know more than I do about the lead up and the background shit. So I think David Gordon Green's not it's the studio, Nate. The ones that are, I don't think it's him being greedy for money. Now let me flash that back up. That wasn't long enough.
Well, I mean, he's. I mean, everyone's got a point here, because
it doesn't seem like he was planned for 3 movies. Anyway, I want to hear from you.
Okay.
As I walk away to get my drink, I'll be right back.
Okay. The first thing I want to say is, it's the studio system. I mean, of course, I think it's natural that you have something that's going to make money. You're going to want to put more product out. I would think that Malika Cod would be crazy if he was like, oh no, we're just going to end the Halloween now. It's the bread and butter of Trancas. So the whole greed thing, and I mean that's every sequel. Every sequel made is made from every movie made is made.
Especially the third Hobbit movie. That was a fucking
yeah.
It was all about money.
So as far as the 2018 film leading up to it, I mean, basically Miramax was still they still had the rights for a while. They were developing Halloween Returns with I can't remember their names. They made The Collector and The Collected, and they wrote Feast, I think, the Feast trilogy, and some of the Saw movies. But they had been working on Halloween Returns. They were actually pretty close to starting production. But then, of course, the whole thing with Harvey Weinstein was coming out, and it was such a massive thing where the Weinstein Company had to kind of start to sell some of the rights that they owned.
Well, a lot of stuff was going on with the Weinstein Company at the time.
Yeah. Well, the big thing with Harvey was what led to the sale to begin with of their share of the rights. But
frozen solid, by the way.
Nice.
Drink that.
I remember being at work and I happened to go onto my phone and I saw the news that they were doing another one and that Jamie Lee Curtis was going to be back in it and Carpenter was going to be back, and I was super stoked. And the year leading up to the release of the movie, I was just more and more stoked. They had a really solid trailer for it. Like the first trailer they put out was pretty decent. I mean, even seeing the movie for the first time, because, I have some opinions on it upon further viewings of it. But, just like on the ride back, me and my buddy, we had a 45-minute trip back home. And we were just talking about the movie like rapidly. And I don't even think we were done with the conversation even when we got home. But
to be continued.
Yeah. But looking at it now, after seeing it many other times, I still enjoy it, but I feel like the movie kind of like it starts off really good and it peaks with Vicky's death, and then everything after Vicky's death is kind of where the film starts going downhill for me. I would say I think it is the best of this new trilogy. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that happens though within Laurie's house towards the end of the movie. There's things that to me were kind of idiotic, like the Mano lantern. Why would he take that much time to do that? That just seems like it would take too much time for him to do that. Just logically thinking it. No, I don't think it was cool. That was dumb. And Art the Clown, I think, did it first. So, like, literally, I believe that was in Terrifier before it was on Halloween. Not to say that they took it from Terrifier, and not to give Terrifier any fucking respect, because that movie's terrible. It's terrible as a story, as a movie and a story. It's fine for whatever it is. And we've talked to David Howard Thornton a couple times. He's a great guy, and Art the Clown is whatever. Anyway, I don't need to make up for what I said. I don't like the movie. The second one's better. Anyway, but there are a lot of things. I came out of this. The lead up for me was like, okay, great, another Halloween movie. I love the series, but like the last two films were not great for me. I did not like. I walked out of Halloween 07, the Rob Zombie film, not happy. I was like, I did not need this version of Michael Myers. I hated that they gave him such a face, as a kid, and it's like we didn't need all that. And at the time, I remember thinking, and I love Sherry Moon, but I remember thinking this feels like this was all for her to give her screen time, because otherwise there's nothing for her to be in this movie about. And then Halloween 2, I didn't even watch for a few years because I had no interest in seeing a follow-up to that movie. Both movies have grown on me over the years, I will say that. And then there's also the string that was left off, as I mentioned, with Resurrection. I did not like Resurrection. I liked it the first time I saw it, and I was like, yeah, Halloween's back, blah, But it got worse and worse over the years, and it is obviously, without a doubt, the worst Halloween movie ever made. Other than Halloween 3, of course.
Joking. Are you fucking kidding me?
I am kidding. Anyway, but so I went into Halloween 2018 with almost no excitement at all. I was going through the motions and updating the Horror Syndicate and all this different stuff, and then I saw the movie and I liked it quite a bit. Anybody who was with the Horror Syndicate in the early days might remember my 45-minute live feed from this room, just like a live, like with my phone, talking about how great James Jude Courtney was as the Shape, how great it was to see Laurie Strode in a different way than we'd seen her in Halloween H2O or Resurrection, and because she was completely different. She's a different Laurie in all the iterations that she's in the movies. And I didn't care for Sartain. I absolutely love Hawkins, but the actor himself is a guy I've always liked, and for some reason now I just lost his name. Will Patton. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff, and I knew this would be a setup for a sequel, and and I love the end of the movie where they're driving away as the house burns. I like that he was trapped. I was like, okay, this could be a definitive end for Michael Myers, more so than chopping his head off, even though it wasn't him. And I like that this could be the end, or maybe not, because I wasn't sure if we were going to get a sequel or not. I thought they were going to test the waters and see how it went, and then obviously we got the sequel, which was fine. And I don't know, I liked Halloween 2018 a lot, but the more I watched it between Halloween and, because we had 3 years between Halloween and Halloween Kills, it just got worse and worse to me. And you might remember I had this theory that Halloween Kills might make Halloween 2018 better, and because sometimes a sequel can elevate the movie before it if I don't like it, and I think it did. I did like Halloween better after Halloween Kills came out, because I hated Halloween Kills right away. I mean, me and you got into a heated discussion over Halloween Kills where you almost left the Horror Syndicate. Remember that shit?
Yeah,
baby. No,
you were being a dick.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I wasn't being a dick. Are you kidding me? Come on, use the correct term.
You're an angel.
No, I was
an asshole.
There we go. All right. So anyway, I liked Halloween initially, and I thought it got worse over time. And I had hopes for Halloween Kills, and they had that great announcement: Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. And I mean, anybody can say, "Oh, I had this plan for a trilogy," or whatever. I don't think that they did. I mean, anybody can say this was planned the whole time. I honestly do not think Halloween Ends was planned the way it was, because you had the pandemic that derailed everything. And what, you got something?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Halloween Ends would be a lot different if we got the initial version that they were going to go with, because they had announced Kills and Ends at the same time. So they knew the stories that they were going to do. They announced the writers.
And was that 2019 or 2020 when they did that? It was 2019.
2019, because we were supposed to get Kills in 2020 and Ends in 2021.
That's right, yeah.
And so they knew the stories that they were going to tell. But then because of the whole thing with COVID and the delay of Halloween Kills, they had a lot of time on their hands. And
too much time on my
I think, like any artist, if you have an opportunity to keep rewriting, you're probably going to do it.
Well, they did that with Ghostbusters Afterlife too. Apparently, the pandemic shut them down, and they kept rewriting it.
Yeah, and
from the clerk in the gas station. That's where he got the teeth from. Go ahead.
No, he actually got them from a Goodwill store down the street.
He was shopping for some new overalls or coveralls, and he's like, "Oh, they got like a baby food jar of teeth. Let's buy that and scare somebody."
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I know how I'm going to get this bitch." But anyway, I forget what I was saying. Oh, with the whole COVID thing, David Gordon Green kind of thought of new ideas. So I kind of wonder if the whole thing with Corey was
destroyed is putting it lightly, Nate. Go ahead. Sorry.
I kind of wonder if the whole Corey thing was a post-COVID inclusion, and I wonder if the actual story that they were going to tell, because originally all 3 movies were supposed to take place in the same night, and they decided to not do that. So I do kind of wonder if the original version was more focused on Laurie and Allison, and that things were changed.
This says a lot to me. Because they cut this out of the original cut, right, of Kills. Because now I don't remember, because now the one I have available on my Blu-ray has this at the end of it, on the director's cut or whatever. So I can't remember, but that to me was setting up the showdown, and I do think it was supposed to be all in one night, which makes sense, because that was while we were off air after our Discord show. I said something. I was like, him popping up on Halloween night, like every couple of years, is kind of a silly concept if you think about it. I mean, it made sense for Halloween 4. You know, why would they transfer him on the night that he killed all those people? That always kind of bothered me in Halloween 4. You know, and then with Halloween 6, it was all about, you know, Samhain and the Order of the Thorn and all that stuff. So that they made sense of why it was on Halloween, you know, and H2O just happenstance, I guess. With this, it would have made sense for it to all be in one night. And the way Halloween Kills ended, I would have rather done that than what we got, because I do think the Corey Cunningham stuff was. We'll get into Halloween Ends shortly, but I do think it was kind of tagged on after the fact. I'm sure there's got to be a script for Halloween Ends. The original version is going to be out there somewhere, unless they burned all copies because they know how pissed off people. There were a lot of pissed off people. I do think Halloween Ends is the most divisive of the series, and it showed. It showed on just our little webpage itself in our little following.
It still does.
It still does, yeah.
I mean, just the post you put up the other day about the percentage, like just reading some of the comments, there's the people defending it, and then there's the people really hating on it. And I mean, even look at us. I mean, you don't like it at all.
No, I don't. It's not that I don't like it. There's a lot there. I said this earlier. There's a lot there that I like. It's just I don't get the decisions that were made. It doesn't feel like it belongs with the other 2 movies at all, you know. And I don't understand why Corey Cunningham comes in. They build this character up in the last chapter, and then at the end, Michael Myers just fucking kills him. It's like, well, that was sucked. You know, that to me, that's what I thought. I was like, that's you're building this kid up through the whole fucking movie, and Michael Myers just takes him out. You know, which he would do. Let's face it, Myers would do that, especially after he stole his mask. He's like, bitch, give me my mask back. But, you know, like, I just don't understand the ideas behind that. And Nathan likes, I called it after I watched it. I was like, Nate's going to love this movie. I guarantee it. And he does. He likes it. Oh, I don't know if he loves it, but he likes it. But yeah, I think you see it differently than I see it. Nate obviously sees it differently than I see it. And that's okay, because everybody has a different experience with whatever movie they see, no matter what the movie is, you know. And I don't understand what they did. This is The Last Jedi all over again, in my opinion. And again, that's another one that's the same way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't suggesting that you totally 100% hate this movie. I was...
Oh, out of the theater I did. I said, okay, Resurrection's been supplanted.
Yeah, I mean, I even had a knee-jerk reaction out of the theater for it. But I was just being a Sith for a moment and speaking in absolutes as far as just drawing the comparison, or, you know, the differences between, say, you and Nate and how you guys feel about this film. You know what I mean? And that's the general thing I get for this movie, is either you like it or you don't. And it's not saying that you hate everything about it. I'm just speaking in absolutes, like a Sith. Sorry. Beautifully
shot film. I will say that. I've said that from the beginning. There is a lot of good stuff here, but what if we? You know, honestly, it's not even a trilogy, because you have to still count Halloween '78, Carpenter's movie, so it's not really even a trilogy. So,
well, but the thing with that. And we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but like the thing with Ends, is like it would have been a fine sequel if they didn't have that definitive ending. I think.
And that's that to Nate's point, what he just said. Actually, what if we remove the trilogy thing from this and ends just is a sequel, just as you were saying just now, not the third act, but a sequel. Yeah, I think the other thing is I feel like they were building to something with no payoff, and we're gonna get to ends. We got to stop getting ahead of ourselves. But because that's the whole reason that we're doing this episode anyway, is to get to reflecting on ends, because I've been wanting to do this since I wanted to do it with Discourse, but I don't know if there was any interest in that. That's why we're doing it here. By the way, I found this image and I wanted to show, because that hat, first of all, is in the original Halloween film. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but in the lighting, it looks like it's a boob. It's got a nipple and everything. Look at that. Am I wrong?
Everything I think I see
is boobs. Yeah, there's some great moments in this first Halloween movie, which we have been jumping around the 3 movies. Like, this one was great, and I like that they actually injured Michael Myers, making him seem more human, which kind of falls apart in the next movie when they make him inhuman at the end of the movie. But let's finish up on Halloween 2018 so we can get to the other 2. Do you have anything else you want to say about it before I flash the score, which everybody has seen if they follow the Horror Syndicate on Facebook?
I think
my boobs.
See anything you like?
See anything I like? Don't I get your ghost?
I like 2018 quite a bit still. I just feel like when I watch it, for me, there's just something about it that's really cool up until, or at least up, after Vicky's death. That's when it just kind of goes downhill for me. Mm-hmm. It kind of gets rushed. I didn't feel like Allison, Cameron, or Oscar were really important at all, especially Allison, mm-hmm. because like her whole she's in the conflict by just being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mm-hmm. On a couple occasions. Michael's never actually pursued her. He's let her get away. And I didn't like Cameron at all. And
they painted it really poorly in that first movie.
Yeah, well, the whole subplot with Allison and her friends was like, it was just like, it was halfway through the film, and then all of a sudden Cameron's gone. He's not in the rest of the movie. He was so insignificant, and it was just useless teen drama for the sake of useless teen drama. But I love the score, and I was going to mention too, because you mentioned Rob Zombie's movies before this. That was the great appeal for this as well, was seeing them go back to the shape. As opposed to the psychopath from Rob Zombie's movies.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to the basics with Michael's character, and James Jude Courtney, I thought was fantastic in the role.
I'm reading Nate's comment. Sorry. James Jude Courtney is probably, and I don't know if this is going to be an unpopular opinion, because everybody's opinion these days is unpopular. Unpopular opinion, I like Star Wars from 1977. Unpopular opinion, Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. Shut the fuck up. It's not an unpopular opinion. It's the correct opinion. It's the opinion. But my unpopular opinion is James Jude Courtney is the best to play the shape. And because sure, Nick Castle was great, but he never came back. James Jude Courtney did it for 3 movies, and I think he mastered the shape. Yeah. Michael Myers, even I know it's the same character, but there was one other guy who played Michael Myers twice other than Tyler Mane, was George Wilbur, and it was, both performances were kind of different, and the guy from 5, whose name I could never remember,
Don Shanks,
yeah, he was kind of strange in the role, and he had that Nicolas Cage mask. And it's just, and then the poor choices in Halloween Resurrection and Halloween H2O. But so I think James U. Courtney is the best shape that we've ever had. And honestly, even if we get another Halloween film that has nothing to do with these, which it shouldn't, he was, grinded up into, reminded me of the Pink Floyd The Wall video. But I think they should go back to him to play the shape. Great size. He knows how to do the character walk and everything. What? Anyway, I'm fucking peeking in here. Kids.
I'll be right back, man.
That's cool. We got some more comments. The actor portrayed Donald Pleasance in 2021's Halloween Kills. He was great. We'll get to that. I felt the ending of 2018 was a little rushed, left me wanting more. And I think that was kind of the point with that. It was a cliffhanger ending for real. And Rachel Dunn, I think it was a crew member with the prosthetics. Regardless, it was very good. He looked great. Hawkins and Allison were handled very poorly throughout the entire series, really. I loved Hawkins, and he was just almost completely absent in Halloween Ends. He was one of the characters I was really hoping to see flourish in this next movie. They were never given full presentation, and for me, it's because they had to get. Yeah, I think they should have killed Laurie Strode earlier in Halloween Kills, honestly. JJC feels like an older version of Castle's portrayal. Well, he's supposed to. Agreed. Yeah, unpopular opinion. It's everywhere. It's like, shut up already. Just say my opinion, or I like this movie, or whatever. I'm just unpopular opinion. Shut the fuck up. Your opinion's not unpopular. And if I offend somebody, I don't care. Courtney retired. That's a shame. He was good though, right, Nate? You gotta admit this man was fantastic as the shape. Arguably the best. People will cite Castle. People will cite your boy Dick Warlock, who they to respect, to their respect, they were both fantastic. But man, there's certain scenes with most. I'm gonna get to that comment because most internet phrases drive me up the fucking wall. But their performances were great. But there's certain things that James Jude Courtney did, especially in Halloween Kills, that I just really loved. And at first I hated it, but that whole scene with the knives when he's just trying each knife in the guy, and the way he was moving, almost robotic like. I really, really like that. I think he really came into his own as Michael Myers in that film. Will Patton is always incredible. Think about Armageddon. He was great in that. Am I the only one? No, you're not the only one. Shut the fuck up. There are 8 billion people on this planet. You are not the only one, right, Nate? Right, Seth? Am I the only one? No. This movie made $100 million. You're not the only one who saw it. Shut up. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be Warlock, Castle, and James Jude Courtney, right? Top 3 Myers actors.
I like Wilbur better than Warlock. Nate's gonna kill me for that.
I need to catch up on The Flash. Do you really? Well, this conversation's over. Seth has been no. Just joking. Weird. I hope we never get Halloween in space. Okay, so I never teared up in Armageddon because I thought Deep Impact was much better. And yes, you can compare the two because that's what they are. They're the same fucking movie. One was done better and one was Michael Bay. So Halloween 2018, we put the 5-star ratings out there, of course, and it ended up with a 88%, which is actually, I think, the 3rd highest of all the Halloween scores. I'd have to consult the books, but I believe Halloween 2 and Halloween, of course, John Carpenter's Halloween. Actually, fun fact, John Carpenter's Halloween is the #1 rated movie so far of all the movies that we have rated. It's got a 98%, damn near perfect. And those few people who gave it a 1 star, you're a fucking edgelord. Let's move on to Halloween Kills. Okay, go ahead. We'll move on to Halloween Kills after Seth adds his edgelord stuff.
Well, no, I wasn't going to say anything about that.
Is that? Who is that? I don't know who that is. I feel like that is it Alex? I can't tell.
Oh,
anyway, go ahead, though.
All I was gonna say is I'm proud of you for referring to the original as John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah, the only reason I do that is for you anyway, okay? Because it's just Halloween to me.
We're making progress.
No, we're not making progress because in my own home, I'm like, fuck Seth. It's just Halloween. No, I've never been.
Every Carpenter movie needs to have his name above.
You do that. You're the only one I've ever seen do that, and that's fine. I respect that because John Carpenter, that's what he wanted, you know, and that's cool. I respect Carpenter. I have a lot of respect for Carpenter actually, but I don't know, man. I've never been that type of person to put it. It's like, should I start doing that? You know, I mean, we can. Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street, you know. What's the guy who did A Nightmare on Elm Street 2? Let's put his name above that one.
Jack Shoulder.
Yeah, Jack Shoulder's A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Freddy's Revenge.
Well, it's different though because Carpenter wrote, directed, produced, edited, scored.
Okay, Carpenter's best. Whoop for Seth. No, I get it. And but John Carpenter's Starman, he didn't do the score. You just told us that.
Yeah, he didn't do the score for that, but still, I don't give a fuck. I call that's what he gets above the titles for all his movies.
You have the biggest boner for John Carpenter. Excuse me, let me go back to Scream 2. You have such a hard-on for Carpenter.
Hey, Carpenter's the man.
He is. I love John Carpenter. Except for I do have a couple movies I don't like. Big Trouble in Little China. Unpopular opinion, I don't like Big Trouble in Little China. I think it sucks. No, it doesn't suck. It's a fine movie. It just wasn't for me. Love Escape from New York though, and I got to be honest. I think I like Escape from LA better than Big Trouble in Little China. I think the Big Trouble in Little China for me is I saw it way too late in life. I think if I would have saw it when I was 6, 7, 10, 11, somewhere in there, I probably would have loved it. And I'm not saying it's a childish movie. It's just one that people that I know grew up with, you know, even into their teens. I saw it at 38 or 39. Anyway.
Well, here's an unpopular opinion that I may be the only one, but Escape from LA, I don't think is as nearly as bad as people make it out to be.
I remember Brendan. No, I think it's fine. I like the end. And Ryan Johnson liked the end so much he copied it for The Last Jedi. Kills is a whole lot of fun once you overlook the 30 seconds of its runtime of the character say, well, it's whatever. Evil Dies Tonight. It's a fun thing to poke at, but it's really not said that much. It's just like, we get it. They Live is the best.
They Live is awesome.
That's a good movie. Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Carpenter does not really have a bad movie. Let's talk about Halloween Kills, because this one was the one that damn near broke the horror syndicate apart. It's true. It's true. The Discourse show as we know it would have ended because, you know, you and me were going back and forth. Poor Nate was like a stepchild in the middle of the whole thing. So was Keith and so was Jared. Well, Jared not so much because he never looks at the chat. But yeah, Halloween Kills. Now it's funny though because you and I didn't see eye to eye at all. You loved it at the time. I hated it. I hated the ending. I hated that the crowd beat the shit out of Michael Myers and he just gets up and Luke Skywalkered it. Which of course Luke Skywalker was, you know, not even a real thing there. It was anyway, force projection. But you know, he gets up and just kills everybody. And you gotta love the tenacity of Iron Lady, right? She was one of the best. Rest in peace. But yeah, I just didn't like that. And then of course, and I think part of my problem with the end is I fucking love Karen because Karen, first of all, I love Judy as an actress, Judy Greer. She is fantastic. She's one of my favorites. She's versatile. She plays small parts in a lot of things. If you ever see Californication, she's great in that. She was in Arrested Development and just all Archer. If you watch that cartoon, it's a great cartoon. Just so many things, and I love her, Ant-Man, of course, and she was great in this because didn't put up with her mom's bullshit in the first movie, and she hated the fact that she was raised that certain way, and even into the second movie after all this shit happened again, and she lost her husband, which that bothered me because they barely even touched on that in Halloween Kills. Ray dies, and nobody cares about Ray. I mean, he got peanut butter on his penis, but whatever. I hated that they killed her off, but I liked the way it happened but she got kind of a hero moment, in that scene, like almost like Sigourney Weaver in Aliens. Get away from her, you bitch. But the thing is also she fucking crushed his skull when she curb stomped his ass. Who comes back from that? Because when you watch it, it has a lot of give, his head. And I understand that it's a prop and it's not a real head, but Christ, who gets up from that? Well, so anyway, we know this one takes place right after the events of Halloween, and we get absolutely, she did deserve better. But we get one of the coolest fucking openings in any Halloween film ever, with not openings, but this scene where he comes back, gets out of the basement because the firemen just have no clue who he is, and he just wreaks fucking havoc. And some of the most brutal kills in Halloween history. Now, you, as a Halloween fan, as a slasher fan, you have to just eat this up with like a chilled salad fork, and then you move on to your regular fork and your knife, and you start cutting into your fucking steak like Michael Myers is cutting into these fucking firefighters. Tell me how much you love this scene, Seth.
I loved it so much that I would have loved if they didn't put a single fucking frame of this into the trailer.
Yes, absolutely. And that's part of the problem.
If that was a surprise moment that they left out of the trailer, that would have definitely amped up the audience way more.
Oh, I agree. Like, I think we would have gotten, like in the old days of seeing movies, like like when Yoda fights in Attack of the Clones, and I know Attack of the Clones is not a great movie by any means. I love it, but when Yoda gets that lightsaber out, pulls it out, uses the Force or whatever, and starts blah, blah. That was a fucking huge moment in the theater. Everybody was like, I'm not even joking, on their fucking feet, like cheering for Yoda, because we've never seen that before. And we've seen Michael Myers take on a bunch of people and shit, but like if they would have kept that out of the trailer, man, people would have been like cheering for that. Like, oh my god, like we saw almost the entire scene in the trailer. But you gotta admit, it's still badass.
It is still badass, but I think that's the unfortunate part of it, is because, like, obviously the question leading into Halloween Kills is how does Michael get out of that basement?
Right.
And I felt like they were, and I understand, like, the studio,
or even how does he get out of the basement? Yeah.
Well, I understand that there's the marketing side is different, and they didn't really have like this great strategy, in my opinion. But like, I felt like they shouldn't have tried to answer that in the trailer.
No.
If they left everything with the fire out of the trailer, besides maybe showing Laurie's house.
Let me ask you this: for the trailer for Halloween 5, did they show how Michael Myers lived in the trailer? No. And the trailer for Halloween 6, did they show the breakout for how Michael Myers got out of jail? No. Come on. We know he's coming back.
Yeah. Right. And that's the thing. It's like, by revealing this shit in the trailer, you're not letting the audience sort of like experience the story as it unravels.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's the shame of it, because it's a great moment, but almost everything in that scene is in the trailer. Almost everything.
Yes, pretty much. Which sucks, but it was still really cool to see, that scene be so brutal. I really do. I agree with you though, 100%. They should have not put that in there. I mean, they could have had just this moment in the trailer. You're like, oh shit. You know, that would have been
I would have left that out too.
Were you?
Yeah.
It's
a great image, and it's a great promotional shot.
I think Halloween, like, you barely need a fucking trailer. I mean, this franchise has a built-in audience that is going to go see this movie, even if they didn't like Halloween 2018. It's been 3 years since we got a Michael Myers movie, and so it's been, at this point, you know, it had, when 2018 came out, it had been almost a decade, and people were going to go see this no matter what. Why'd you message me? I'll be right back. And Halloween Kills raked it in, even though it was what was it, Peacock Day release.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, it still made $133 million, which wasn't as much as the previous film made.
By a long shot.
Yeah, but, well, I mean, we're coming off of a pandemic, first of all, and not even off the pandemic. There's still a lot of people who weren't going to the theater. If this was released in a non-pandemic year, I do feel this could have come close, at least, because this was by far the most brutal Halloween film, and I think word of mouth would have spread enough to where people would have been like needing to go see it, and also take the element of Peacock away. It would have changed. That would have changed everything, because I pre-ordered my ticket because I was going to go see it regardless, and I said, fuck it, I'm gonna watch it on Peacock. They uploaded it at midnight, so I watched it, and I almost didn't go see. I almost canceled my ticket because I was so pissed off at the end, but I didn't. And I went and saw it.
Well, okay, because thanks for reminding me, because you mentioned something about the end.
Hey, you're welcome.
And Karen.
Okay.
I felt like there needed to be a major death at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as I initially thought, because originally I thought there was, the cliffhanger would have a reason, have a purpose, but I felt like it was important to kill her off, I suppose, either her or Allison, because they needed something to motivate Laurie, but at the same hand, they didn't really do anything with it so much. I don't know. I kind of liked it, but like Karen especially stood out to me in Halloween Kills, especially with her moment where she was trying to protect Trivoli, and try to help him out. And I thought that was a good thing. That was a good arc for her.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for her to go upstairs in the Myers house, or for Michael to be there, despite where he was not too long ago, and with the crowd there. But I don't know. I kind of liked the ending with Karen. I just wish it would have meant more going into the next one.
I wish they would have killed off Jamie Lee, honestly, in the second movie. So we've talked about my issues with the ending and him getting the shit kicked out of him. He just gets up like nobody's business. But like, also, by time, like, it seems like a lot of time has passed between Karen walking away from the mob that started beating Michael Myers, and him showing up behind her. There's police in front of the Myers house, and so he must have snuck in through the back door. But why wouldn't they have that whole area blocked off? And also, like, so there's a lot of issues with this. And also, that whole thing about him staring out the fucking window, like, what the fuck? Like, that was never set up in the original film. They like the original film, they didn't do anything about that. Like, he stalked people. I mean, the Myers house wasn't even that big of a deal in the original film, and they made it to a big deal in this one. Which I did like Big John and Little John, though. I will say that. Big John is I like that actor. I can't remember his name, but I like him.
Yeah.
He was in, if you haven't seen it, the show called The Righteous Gemstones. He's in the first season, and he's great. And that show's amazing. It's on Max. Gotta check it out on Max. But there's a lot of other things about Kills with the trailer, the opening, the most of it takes place in a hospital. The Trilogy stuff that you were talking about, which I actually liked. I didn't like that he got to the point. I mean, I don't know, like he's a crazy person, obviously, but what was going on through his mind? Is it better to kill yourself or be killed? Because I mean, he was obviously going to be. He probably would have died regardless.
Well, I mean, the stupidity of the thing is the fact that you have someone who's not even remotely close to Michael in physical appearance. So
Yeah.
the idea that they were
True.
mistaken, I don't like that idea into it.
Yeah. It's just the whole mob mentality. There, it's just like you know, Halloween 4. You know, they shot somebody in the bushes. You know, because they, you know,
Shit, Earl, that was Ted Hollister.
That was Ted Hollister, yeah. So I think I could. That's why I can forgive that. You know, because they. It's like you're jumping at shadows. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about something very positive about this movie, and that's the flashback to 1978. Because that was fucking phenomenal. The flashback, everything about it, David Gordon Green, the set designers, everybody, the art department just killed it on the 78 look. And honestly, when that was what I wanted. I wanted to see more of that than anything else.
Yep.
Then the casting of I don't know what to call him, fake Loomis. Well, I mean, it was good, you know, almost great, and it was all makeup, you know. Tell me that that's not your favorite part of Halloween Kills.
It's probably my favorite part of the whole trilogy. My favorite image of the whole series of these ones is that shot of where Michael is on the front lawn, right, and you have the cops surrounding him, and then you have like Loomis come out of the doorway behind him.
Yeah,
and just the way that they're framed together, and with they're trying to mimic Carpenter with the camera going up, but it's just to me it's such a beautiful image of Michael with Loomis standing behind him in the doorway of the Myers house. It's like I want to paint that image. It's a really cool image.
You should. That is a great shot. This is a question from longtime listener, first time caller. It says Laurie dies at the end of Kills. Is Corey being the new lead as big of an addition? That's a great question, and I don't know.
The whole thing with Corey and the reason why I think it was a post-COVID edition and not part of the original plan that they had set was because I felt like they were building towards something with Laurie, with Allison, with Hawkins.
She was going to get him. Look at this.
Right.
She was going after him. You got to admit.
Right, and it was stuff that I didn't feel like paid off with that third film.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, and that's we'll get into it when we get into Ends, but I think that's one of my biggest issues is that it doesn't really kind of pay off what it was setting up previously.
Nate comments on the Trivoli, and I agree with this. Leaping out, it's like think about 9/11, all those people leaping out of the building rather than burning alive. That's a good point. Yeah, but back to the 78 stuff. Seeing they did such a great job. The set design, the production design was so great. Even the lighting, it like felt like it was from the 70s. And moving forward, and I think I've said this on our live streams before, I think if they make another Halloween movie, I think John Carpenter's Halloween is a nexus point. Do not change that. The Marvel movies talk about nexus points being something that should never change, and then they should build off that. Maybe not jump 30, 40 years in the future, but they could definitely make a period piece movie that takes place that same night that's not Halloween 2 from 81.
Right. I mean, I was writing a story for a while. It takes place in 1979. don't have Laurie in it.
Later, yeah.
Yeah, don't have Laurie in it, but have Michael be this mystery, like focus on some paranoia. Say, with the way Carpenter's movie ended, with Michael getting away. Loomis looks over the balcony and Michael's gone.
He's gone. He's gone from here.
Yeah, you don't know what death is. But like, so you have this whole thing where it's like Michael got away, and what does that do to the people in the town, or to the people directly involved with knowing that this person just disappeared? No one knows where he is. And
we got that in Ends, and it doesn't seem like it mattered all that much that he just disappeared.
Because it didn't have the effect that it needed, I don't think. Because the thing with Ends is like, the thing with Ends is Ends has a lot of brilliant ideas not fully executed, and I think one of the things about, if you're going to leave it where Michael gets away and where no one knows where he is, you really got to play up the paranoia. You got to turn it up to The Thing level. John Carpenter's The Thing level of paranoia, of not. You slipped.
And it's been recorded.
Right.
Right. Okay. You done fucked up, Chuck.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. There's a lot of different roads you could take for a Halloween sequel that doesn't include Laurie. I still don't understand why there's this obsession with Laurie Strode and Jamie Lee Curtis. They were able to create this entire saga without Laurie. Like 4, 5, and 6. Sure, I mean, that she was there. She was present. I mean, with Jamie being her child, but they didn't need Laurie ever. They didn't need her after Halloween H2O. Resurrection didn't need her. Not to say the Resurrection's good, but like even the Curse of Michael Myers, they start focusing on the Strode family, and not Laurie, because Laurie's technically not a Strode at this point. I don't think you need Laurie. I think Halloween can exist without Laurie Strode.
It can, and I hope it does. I mean, there has been a nice thing where it's like with the franchise, if excluding 3, but if we're talking about the Michael Myers films, we had Dr. Loomis kind of lead the way for a while up until 96.
For 4 films, right?
Yep. But then after he passed away, we got a familiar face come back to kind of take over the series. So
yeah, but it split the fucking timeline.
It's absolutely. I mean, I don't agree with the decision there, and that's all on Steve Miner.
It was completely unnecessary, in my opinion. I also think that this Halloween being a sequel to Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, rather than Halloween 2, was an idiotic. I don't think it was necessary. There was one throwaway line in the entire movie. Wasn't that her brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit on Halloween 2, please. A better, superior film, by the way.
Well, that's. I mean,
J.J. Abrams did the same thing. Also, just saying, he did that.
I mean, Halloween 2 is one of my favorites, but
yeah, I love Halloween 2.
I will say that like I'm not like beholden to the whole sibling idea, so like I'm for them taking the chance on doing the story where they don't have that sibling angle to it, but they should have fully committed and don't have Jamie Lee Curtis come back. But the thing is like what I think Nate says in the comments here is that Jamie Lee has star power, and her coming back to Halloween is probably the reason why Halloween 2018 made as much money as it did.
I don't think so.
But at the same time, they sacrificed their whole idea by having her come back, because they don't really do anything to justify getting rid of the sibling angle. Which the sibling angle I'm not a fan of, by the way, because I love the idea behind the original film, where Laurie Strode was just wrong person, wrong place, wrong
just
time.
a babysitter. Yeah.
Yeah, like some people say, like, it's so weird reading comments online where people like, it's more scary if it's someone you know. No, it's not. It's more scary if it's someone you don't know, and that's what
It's
happens.
like, why would this guy come after me? Like, if you give somebody reason, they'll come after you, just like fucking Rob Zombie's movies.
Yeah, well, and it's like, real life serial killers. They'll be outside of a grocery store and they'll wait for a person at the right moment, and I think that's more terrifying.
Yeah.
So, and like, besides, I mean, I think H2O did the best as far as addressing the sibling thing, but like at the same time, it's kind of unnecessary. And but unfortunately, because we had like 38 years of that being like the fact of the series, that Michael went after family members.
Even in a situation where they make a remake, it's still that's part of the series.
Well, exactly, and that's what Rob Zombie did. Rob Zombie actually included baby Laurie or Angel in the
what a trashy name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, in the early scenes, to honor that. But at the same time, like, if you're gonna ignore that, if you're gonna get rid of that, that's fine, but do something.
Right back. Keep going.
And they didn't do anything with it. They just kind of I don't know. I just don't feel like Laurie Strode should have been there. I understand why they brought Jamie Lee Curtis back. I understand that's why
they brought her back to put asses in the seats. I don't think that that Jamie Lee Curtis coming back had nothing to do with me wanting to see that movie. I don't care. I prefer Dr. Loomis. If you because there are two different characters other than Michael Myers that carry the series. It's Loomis or Curtis or Laurie. And I prefer Loomis to Laurie. I don't give two shits about Laurie. I care more about Loomis and what he brought to the story.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm a Loomis
Jamie Lee
fan.
Curtis is never a draw for me. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. Don't get me wrong, but if I see a movie with her, I'm not like, I need to see that. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it. She's never been a draw for me. The draw for me was this was a Halloween movie that wasn't a sequel to a Rob Zombie Halloween movie. Yeah, that's why I wanted to see it.
But the thing is that drives me crazy though is like this version of Laurie Strode would have been the perfect way to handle the Laurie Strode that went through the events of 1 and 2.
Yeah. One and 2, especially 2. Sure, she was attacked in 1 and everything, and it's traumatic. But shit, even more goes down in Halloween 2 that could affect her even more.
Well, exactly, and not to mention like the whole Michael massacring through Haddonfield there was a bigger body count, but then this could also Halloween 2 could also help sort of explain what Laurie's obsession with collecting firearms comes from, because like Loomis goes to hand her a gun at the end of part 2 and she shakes her head no at first, signifying that she didn't want to take it. She wasn't comfortable with it, but she did take it. She fired 2 shots. She got them in both eyes. And you could look at that as the moment where Laurie was like, okay, I need more of these to protect myself.
Yeah. This boy, were they sorry. People don't run out to see Mark Hamill, but they run out to see Mark as Luke again. Yeah, boy, were they sorry with the sequel trilogy. You barely got him in 1 movie. The second movie, he was a shell of his former self. And the third movie, he's a fucking Force ghost. And also, Mark Hamill's on a different level than Jamie Lee Curtis. I love Mark Hamill, don't get me wrong, but he's no Jamie Lee Curtis.
No, I mean, Jamie Lee has actual star power.
Yeah, she does, but Mark Hamill never really did. Unless you're a nerd who loves Batman and Star Wars.
But I think it's her connection to the original series, though. It's like, oh, Laurie Strode is back. I think Halloween is one of the more mainstream horror franchises out there. We can agree, even though they're mostly independently made. But
fans wanted Nev back for sure, but that didn't stop people from putting asses in the seats in Scream 6, did it? Scream 6 is one of the highest grossing Scream movies, and Nev Campbell was nowhere to be found. So, I mean,
I get that 100%, but I do feel like this movie would have been successful no matter what because of what Blumhouse shells out for budgets. They are smaller budget minded.
It's awesome that they can do that.
So no matter what, it would have been a successful movie. But I do personally feel, and I could be wrong, and feel free to disagree, but I personally feel like
before you even say it, I disagree with you.
Because of Jamie Lee Curtis coming back as Laurie Strode again, I think that put even more butts in seats.
It probably did. I'm not discounting that it didn't. I'm just saying that, like, I still think a lot of people would have gone to see a new Halloween movie, regardless. I mean, I don't know, because we can take Halloween Returns, the movie that never happened, and kind of gauge whether or not people would have shown up. It was a direct sequel to Halloween 2 that takes place, 25 years later or whatever it is, right?
Well, it's not.
No Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, Halloween Returns wasn't a direct sequel to Halloween 2. It kind of reimagined the first film and parts of the second film. So the Halloween Returns script literally begins with Michael on the ground outside the Doyle house.
Right.
And there's other teenage characters involved. So it's sort of like, in a way, it indirectly remade the events of John Carpenter's Halloween with its own stuff. And they went from there. They included, of course, the character of Deputy Hunt. I don't know.
The Deputy C. Hunt.
Yeah.
I don't know. That arguing whether or not Jamie Lee Curtis was the draw or them two together. I mean, sure, people do want to see Jamie Lee Curtis as the role that made her a star. I won't deny that, but I still think I do think Halloween 2018 without that storyline with Jamie Lee Curtis probably would still made $150 million on the $20 million budget and been a huge success.
Well, yeah, I mean, because there's also the factor that it was the first Halloween movie in 9 years.
Yeah, Scream 6 did prove that Sydney wasn't needed anymore, and it's great that they were able to do that because there was no room for her in that movie at all. There was almost no room for Gail. So, it feels like she was kind of sandwiched in there. Oh, I'm sure it would have. I think anything beyond, especially since we're in the social media age where everybody has a voice now, I think anything beyond Halloween Resurrection is going, no matter what, it's going to divide the fans. Just like Star Wars, just like anything. This new Indiana Jones movie is going to divide the fuck out of fans. Just like Crystal Skull did. That's the nature of the beast anymore. Is movies are going to divide the shit. I can't wait. I just told Seth before we did this show, I cannot wait to see David Gordon Green's Exorcist sequel and hear all the bitching that's going to come with that. And I told him I have a hot take. I think he's going to do a great job on this. David Gordon Green is actually a great filmmaker. He's a good filmmaker. He knows how to do. He knows how to do it. And I think this movie may be more in his wheelhouse, an Exorcist movie. So I'm actually excited to see what he does with it. I just don't like what happened with Halloween. And I think some of it's because of the pandemic. You got too much time to play around with this, it's like, I don't know. I think this series is very choppy. The whole series anyway is choppy. If you think about it, there are like 6 timelines in the Halloween franchise. How many timelines are there in Friday the 13th? How many timelines are there in the Child's Play series? 2 now, because there's a remake. Other than that, there was 1, and the same thing with Phantasm. There's 1 timeline. Texas Chainsaw Massacre has all kinds of, it's like, I don't know. I don't have a point. I think when it comes down to Halloween Kills, because we got off track again, I think it's the most brutal. There's a lot of fun to be had. There's some dumb shit, and I liked it for the most part. It gets better every time I see it. And one of the cool things, like we talked about, was the him getting out. This stuff here. We got to see characters from the past. Lonnie Elam is a big character now because he was name dropped in the very first movie, which I thought that was unnecessary. We got to see the Halloween 3 masks in play, which was really cool. I'm glad that they showed some respect to that film because, hot take, unpopular opinion, Halloween 3 is really good. Which I don't think is unpopular anymore. I liked the stuff with Allison and Lonnie and Cameron for the most part, but I hated Cameron because of the first movie. So it's like, there's a lot of problems with the writing in these movies, and then this, like we saw this in the fucking trailer. This was definitely in the trailers, so we thought it was Halloween Kills was leading to a showdown, right away, and we never got that payoff until we saw Corey Cunningham's story played out, which felt like it was unnecessary. The Saw is family. You're correct. Because the fan base aren't children now. They are unhappy, jaded critics holding on to the childhood memory of when things were better. And then when they say, we want different, and we get different, and they fucking hate difference. My brother-in-law told me today how horror fans are basic, and he's right. It's like, oh, do something different with Jason. Oh, here's Jason Goes to Hell. No, not that. Like that's how it is. Like Halloween Ends is going to be really good, but not this. This is not what we wanted, and that's how it is. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I had a checklist or I wanted certain things. I didn't know. Like I remember walking out of theater from Halloween Ends thinking, what the fuck was that? Like I hated it because I didn't know what the hell I was watching. It wasn't a Halloween movie. It was, Corey Cunningham, A Lifetime Story, or something. I don't know. I just was dumbfounded at what I had just seen, and I didn't know how to react. So my knee-jerk reaction was, well, Resurrection was supplanted. It's no longer the worst Halloween movie. I'm wrong because I went back and watched Resurrection. There's no redeeming that movie. Anyway, are you the only one who likes? Yes, nobody likes that movie but me. Michael Izzy. Well, he is, but it's a commercial. The Immortal Class. Only in 2018, it was criticized for being derivative. Halloween 2018 is akin to The Force Awakens. Ends was the change, and it was hated, like The Last Jedi. the only thing different between the Halloween and the Star Wars sequel movies is the direction the third movie went. David Gordon Green did what he wanted to do in the third movie, and where The Rise of Skywalker was a mop-up job trying to fix what everybody hated from the last movie, which they shouldn't have done. They should have just, as much as I don't like The Last Jedi, they should have leaned into what was started in that movie and let what's his name Trevorrow make his movie. We're not talking about Star Wars. The Force Awakens is called fan service list. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry, but I like fan service because I am a fan. I love some feelings of Halloween Ends as I do Spider-Man 3, just anger and confusion. Somebody mentioned Spider-Man 3 earlier. Rise is the worst of that trilogy because it is directly tried to win fans back, and it didn't. I still don't think it's the worst, but let's take a look at that score for Halloween Kills. It's a lot higher than I expected, 82%, which is, and I had the numbers, but a lot of people do seem to like this one more so than you'd think. This also had the most rates of any of the Halloween movies so far that we did, with I think nearly 6,000. And I can't. I don't have the numbers. I guess I can look. Give me a second. The percentage, because I'm a numbers dork. That's why we do this stuff. Um, Let me go. Okay. Halloween Kills, 82%. I just got your message to be right back, Seth. By the way, and you just sat back down. 54% were 5-star ratings. 6% were 1-star ratings. So I mean, and it makes sense. I think where it's rated, and it's fine. I don't think this is one of the best Halloween films, and I don't think it's one of the worst. Um, it's brutal. There's some cool stuff that happens. There's some dumb shit that happens. 40 years ago, blah blah blah. Evil dies tonight. It's whatever. I was in this one. Like at this point, I'm in for this one with all the glorious kills and carnage. And it just you feel like there's some missed opportunities, and I love the flashback. You got anything you want to say before we move on to ends?
Yeah, I mean the only real issue I have with Kills is the script. And I kind of knew the issues before seeing the movie because the script leaked online, and I'm a stupid asshole and I went searching for it. But I like the overall idea of it. I was I think the appeal for
what?
that one.
What? What did you say?
An asshole.
What?
An asshole.
It's not playing now. It's a song. I don't know what happened. It stopped playing.
An asshole.
There it is. Okay. I fucked up. It won't happen again, kids.
Way to go, Ray.
Yeah, it will. It'll happen again.
Way to go. You let the whole class down.
You didn't just you let yourself down. You let me down. You let the whole class down. The whole school's counting on you, Ray. What did you do, Ray? Ghostbusters. All right. You know how many times I've fucking heard that in my life? Just randomly. What did you do, Ray?
Probably a lot.
A lot, yeah. I was at my 2018 class reunion, 20 years, and one girl comes up to me and just looks at me and goes, "What did you do, Ray?" I'm like, "What?" And I was like, she's like, "Ghostbusters." Like, fuck, I knew. I should have known that's what you were talking about because I've had that happen so many times. Anyway, so you ready? Halloween Ends. Thank God. No. I do want to address what Nate said real fast about, and I agree. He says Kills love Rose a lot in the wake of Halloween Ends. And I just want to say it's true. He's right, because that was more of what fans wanted, I guess. But for me, it just gets better every time I watch it. It had nothing to do with, because I liked it better after seeing it right before I went in to see Halloween Ends. I was pumped. But yeah, Halloween Ends, 2022 film. So it hasn't even been a year yet. We've talked a lot about it already. Why did J. Edgar Hoover not show up at the end to destroy New York City? Good question.
Sequel?
Yeah, maybe. Leonardo DiCaprio played him quite well. And I just watched that, by the way. Weird movie. Halloween Ends, for me, when I saw it, first of all, I was like, I think Seth's going to be mad. That's my first reaction. And but like then I'm thinking first of all, my kids loved it. My kids actually really liked it. My 13-year-old son at the time and my daughter had just turned 9, but they really liked it. They liked almost everything about it. And I'm like sitting there thinking to myself, what kind of drugs have you two been taking? Like, did we watch the same movie? Because I just didn't get what the hell was going on. Like, it felt like such a different type of thing than what Halloween has ever been. And I mean, I'm not just talking about these previous 2 or 3 movies, even the previous 12 movies, really. And I was just dumbfounded. I was just like it was like I had a concussion. You know, like what was your initial reactions to this one? I honestly don't remember because I just don't really care about you all that much. But no,
Understandable.
yeah,
Understandable. Um, well, my initial reaction was first thing when I got out, I did a ranking on my Facebook page, and I put
me
it
too.
I was very harsh on it. I put it like second to last. I
Oh, I
couldn't
put it at last. It was number 13 for me.
I couldn't in good conscience put it below Resurrection.
You're a madman.
Uh, uh, some say genius, but anyway, um, my initial reaction was I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I have seen it a few more times since then, and there's things that I do like about it. I think there's really good story and plot threads in it. Um, but my issue is that it was the third and final part of a trilogy, and they made that very clear by the way that the film ended.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like it was a little disrespectful to the Michael character
Mm-hmm.
for how they handled him in this final story in the way that he was sidelined. I know Michael doesn't get a lot of screen time in a lot of the films, but his presence is known throughout the majority of them. And
Dangertainment. Yeah, his presence wasn't felt. This wasn't a Michael Myers film. It was a Corey Cunningham joint, and that was evident. And I've watched this movie 4 or 5 times now. And the last time I tried watching it, I got to a point I was like, I just don't care about Corey Cunningham. There's no point to care about this character. He just gets unceremoniously killed off by Michael Myers, so Jamie Lee Curtis and Michael Myers can face off one last time, and the most like underwhelming altercation they've ever had, in my opinion. Like it I don't know. Further viewings may help it grow on people because that does happen, but further viewings can also make people not like things more. Like Halloween 2018, the more I watched it, the more I didn't like it. With Halloween Kills, is the opposite. The more I watched, the more I liked it. And
well,
this movie, it will never. I don't know if it'll ever change the way I feel about it because it's just I don't give a shit about Corey Cunningham, and it's his movie, all of it until the
yeah,
end.
I don't know. I mean, the more I watch it, the more I like it, and I do like Corey, but like you said, like his whole storyline was sort of useless by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no even like sort of like follow up to it. Like he died. He was wearing the suit, but he died, and everything was all about Michael, and there was no real reflection on what happened with Corey. You know,
There seemed like okay, so we even mentioned this. There seemed like there was this supernatural element to Michael Myers by the end of Halloween Kills.
yeah.
Like how did he survive that thrashing by the townsfolk and Iron Lady? And like so, and then at one point in Halloween Ends, because I was enjoying it up towards the end. Um, I thought there were some weird moments, and I didn't like the trajectory of Allison's character throughout the entire series, really. But like, I like that Laurie was moving on. I wanted to see more of her and Hawkins, because this movie started off like 3 or 4 days, 5 days before Halloween on the calendar,
Mm-hmm.
and was it 4 days? Corey fell way off a cliff. Like that's the fastest ascent since Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith. Uh, and it just did. It was unbelievable to me that happened so fast, and it just happened because he was bullied and pushed over the cliff. I would have rather seen this spaced out over a couple of movies rather than one. And there was a part in the movie. Would you remember what a really cool scene was when Myers and Corey were working together? And Corey has that name that can be synonymous with a serial. Corey Cunningham is coming for you. I felt like there could have been a transference of evil between the two, and Corey could have taken up the mantle of the Shape at some point, and they could have made more movies that way. I thought that would have been great.
I
Because
felt
that's where
like
I felt like they were going. So what?
I felt like Corey should have just had his own identity. Just
Yeah.
don't have him put on
That
the mask or
Scarecrow
the
mask, that
costume.
was stupid.
I know the Scarecrow thing was stupid. I think they should have come up with something a little more creative for him.
Yeah.
But like, they shouldn't have had him try to take over the persona of the Shape. I felt like it would have worked better if they both existed separately. That way, if you do kill the Shape, you could continue theoretically with Corey, but with his own identity, with his own mask, with his own.
I think what they should have done, and what I not should have done, but what I think would have been cool.
Him.
Yeah. What they could have done that would have been cool is like have him kill as Michael Myers, off the rest of the bullies, the DJ and all that stuff. But like by the end, have him kill Jamie Lee Curtis. Why not? And then he takes his own identity from that point on, and he lets the Shape go, or so. I don't know. There's other ways I think they could have gone around it and let Corey live. The actor whose name escapes me, he was good in the part. He was a pretty damn good actor. I just feel like,
Rohan Campbell. Yeah, Rohan Campbell, yeah, he was great.
Yeah, and I think I said this before. I think he could play the Joker. What do you think? I think he could. What do you think? He looks like he could play the fucking Joker.
I don't know about the Joker, but like, here's the thing with this movie: is like I liked the whole story of Corey Cunningham, and I liked his whole arc, and especially when he was with Myers killing the doctor and that one ditzy nurse. Thought that was really cool, and I know because I know Nate mentioned a comment. He just like Myers to try to get away with murder and Laurie. He did the same thing with the whole town. He was gonna murder all these people, make it seem like it was Myers, and so he could get away with it. But at the same time, I don't know. I just felt like they sacrificed Myers as a character for that. I just feel like story-wise, they could have made some adjustments.
Do you feel like they did Michael dirty?
Yes, they did. That's my big problem with ends, because like, as much as I warm up to this movie and I hate it less and less, and I appreciate the brilliant stuff they did in it, I just can't get over. It's the same thing with like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I can't ever get over with the way that they made Sam Loomis and a complete and total asshole.
Yeah,
that's not my version of the character. Not my Chucky.
It's not my Chucky.
Anthony Thurber was on.
It's just not the version of the character I like seeing.
Right.
And I feel like they made Michael way too vulnerable in this one.
So I remember when I was watching it, there's a lot going on early on in the movie before really anybody ever really dies. I mean, or of course the kid dies at the beginning. We get a gratuitous shot of The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, and then the kid dies or whatever. And then I mean most of the movie is everyday life in Haddonfield. And Corey getting bullied, Corey going through his routine, all this different stuff. And I remember thinking in the theater, this would make a great miniseries, by itself, on its own, like this own Halloween movie, almost as if it were its own sequel to whatever. And it just wasn't the end of the series until they get to the end. And when Michael shows up, and yes, Corey led Michael to Laurie's house. I get that. The question is, though, did he follow him all over town after he took the mask? Because, I mean, he goes all over fucking Haddonfield after he takes the mask from Michael Myers. Did Michael Myers follow him everywhere he went, to the radio station, to, what I'm saying? Like,
I think it would have been actually cool if they did show like a shot from a distance where you see like
Michael,
where like a classic shot from like John Carpenter's Halloween, where you just see like part of his shoulder of him standing there. Like if you should, because that was the problem too with like that I had with 2018, and I understand that he spent 40 years in Smith's Grove and he's making up for lost time, but one of the things that's I think great about John Carpenter's original is the stalking aspect, and that comment from Rachel, I definitely agree, and I think that may have been because I know that David Gordon Green was like tweaking the ending like pretty much all the way up until the release of the movie, and sometime before the release of the movie, Jason Blum announced, or he made mention of the fact that this was the last one that he's involved with. So I felt like there could have been an ending where maybe they were trying to set up Corey surviving and maybe taking over the mantle, but then maybe something fell apart between Trancas and Blumhouse, where Trancas is like, no, we're gonna.
What happened was Trancas saw that they felt like they didn't need Blumhouse. These movies are going to make a ton of money. We can do this on our own, or whatever. I bet you. What it comes. They probably weren't seeing enough money that they wanted to get from the contract or some shit. Because again, everything's ruled by money. So.
Well, I mean, not to mention too. I mean, they could have saw the movie and been like, we don't like what you're going with this, because I mean,
you done fucked up, Jason. You done fucked up.
I mean, Malik has been involved with the franchise since Part 4. Because his father was involved with the whole thing.
His father's pride and joy.
Right, exactly. And then Malik served as like a production assistant or something on Part 4, and he's been involved with the series ever since. And of course, the tragedy of
the terrorist attack, and almost. I wonder if he'd actually still be alive if that not happened. And I wonder, like, what would have happened, because he died before Halloween 07 came out, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if that would have even ever happened, because they had lined up. They were going to make a Halloween 9, right? Which I think was going to be called Retribution or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they probably would have just continued on, I would assume, unless somebody blew him away with a remake script.
No,
you know more than I do.
I don't think Mustafa would have ever gone for a remake. The whole remake thing was, I think, a Malik decision.
No, I mean, that was the way of the mid 2000s. I mean, everything was a Dawn of the Dead, Amityville Horror, Hills Have Eyes. Everything was getting remade up to that point. And then after.
Yeah, that was the trend at the time. But I also remember, I think around the time where they did announce Rob Zombie's, that Malik had said that he wanted to leave the other films as his father's legacy, and
cool.
And kind of start fresh with his own legacy, beginning with Rob Zombies. And of course,
his legacy is garbage, in my opinion. It's flat out garbage. It didn't down the street on fire. No,
yeah. And that's all speculative, and it's all based on.
I mean, I actually like that sentiment for sure. Because
I'm just saying I could be wrong in what I'm remembering.
Oh, he would have been 93. Yeah, he might not have made it this far, but I mean, we can think. I do like that sentiment that if in fact the Halloween 1 through Resurrection is all him, and then his legacy is Rob Zombie's 2 films and these, which isn't a bad legacy. It's just so far it's been strange. I mean, it's been really strange. I don't want to go into a rant about Halloween 07 and Halloween 2, but there are 2 different cuts for each movie, and one is clearly better than the other for both of them. but nobody can agree which is the cut that actually like matters or is canon or whatever. So like for me, I like the theatrical cut of the first movie better, and I think our opinion of all of us, the director's cut of Halloween 2 is better. So it's like that's a fucking mess, and it doesn't help that like on my Blu-ray, I have the director's cut of Halloween 07, which I don't like. I hate the scene that they're going to rape that mentally messed up girl. I hate that shit. They omit Bill Moseley and Leslie Easterbrook and all that, and I liked all that stuff in that movie. And I remember when I saw my first DVD of Halloween, I'm like, where's Bill Moseley? Like where did he go? And there's a couple other little things here and there, and then same thing with Halloween 2. The director's cut ended up being far superior because they made some weird choices for the theatrical cut for that one. And I think the theatrical cut is it's weird that the widely available cut for Halloween 07 is the director's cut, and the widely available cut for Halloween 2 is the theatrical cut. It's like that makes fucking zero sense when it comes down to collecting these movies, because I think, and again, it's still weird that I think the opposite way. I think the theatrical of the first one and the director's cut of the second one should be the way to watch these. That's my opinion. But anyway, and then you get hit like the track records, like then you get 2-3 movies that all three were very divisive amongst the fan base. So his if you put a label on Malek Akkad's tenure over Halloween, it's divisive. All 5 movies, really.
Well, I mean, I would say the same thing for Mustafa's movies as well. I mean, there's for a lot of people who love them, there's also a lot of people who do not like 4, 5, and 6 at all. There's a lot of people who don't like H2O and Resurrection at all. There's people.
I don't like H2O.
There's a bunch of psychotics out there who don't like Halloween 3, which I think you can get a medication.
Look at one that you can. It's called Rewatch It and Understand That It's a great movie. Rob Zombie still wants to make a third Halloween movie. I don't know if is that real, because that's pointless at this point. I mean, doesn't he die in both cuts?
No, I don't think Rob Zombie wants to make a third one. I think what she could be referencing is the fact that they were going to make a third film in the Rob Zombie Halloween timeline, which I did a script breakdown and review for on the Horror Syndicate's website. It was Halloween 3D from Patrick Lucier and Todd Farmer.
The guys.
It was going to continue on from the Rob Zombie.
Timeline.
Actually, that's on the website. Rob Zombie was done. Like Rob Zombie didn't really even want to do part 2.
Yeah. He told what he wanted. He said everything he wanted to say about Myers in that first movie, but money talks and bullshit walks. Right. Yeah, and Nate's not wrong here in saying that 5 through Resurrection are all poor films. That's true. I will always say that I love Curse no matter how messed up it is. And there you go again. We've got 2 cuts of that are very different. Halloween as a series is a fucking mess, plain and simple.
But at least it's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre mess. Right.
No, I honestly, as far as being a mess, I mean, there are not so many multiple cuts of different Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. There are of the 4th movie, but I mean, there are 3, and in my opinion, the first 3 movies are very strong. The 4th movie is batshit crazy, but I love it. The remake I'm not a big fan of, but the prequel to the remake was pretty good. The 2 after that, 3D, was okay. And then Leatherface, in my opinion, was just not good. But I like the 2022 movie. So I would say that franchise is maybe in a little bit of better shape than Halloween overall, because there's a lot of problems with Halloween in general. And I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre pales in comparison anyway for Halloween in general.
I mean, timeline-wise, though, they held the "fuck you, Charlie" in their hand and they pulled the pin and they just let it go off. I don't know.
Paul Rudd is a gangster in 6. The Chainsaw series is the least cohesive of the big 4. Well, I mean, I don't know. Elm Street has 5 solid movies in a row and then 4 standalone movies. So that's not very cohesive. None of them are cohesive. I mean, at all.
No, but you could say that for Elm Street, 2, 6, and Freddy vs. Jason at least happen in the same universe, same timeline.
How?
Well, how not? Like, at least as far as
I thought you were going to say how now, brown cow.
As far as 2 and Freddy vs. Jason, they could just be, they're just solo stories. They don't discount anything.
Oh, yeah. I got what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
The tough sell with Freddy's Dead would be the whole, idea of Springwood somehow kind of.
Yeah, and we just talked about Freddy's Dead, but we could look at that as almost a alternate timeline too.
Yeah. Or you could look at it in the future, because I don't know if they specifically said the year. They just said 10 years from now.
See, the thing with the Chainsaw movies, and the way I look at it is probably different than the way most people look at it. I look at it as there are different parts of the family. I mean, think about how many parts of your family you have, even in a small area like in Texas. I wrote a whole article about this because the leather faces are different, but it's just they're so different. Like, I do think the first 2 movies are absolutely 100% connected. 3, I do believe, is connected, even though a lot of people say it's not. But Stretch is in that movie, even though she's uncredited. But I think it's just another branch of that family, of the Sawyer family. Or is it Sawyer or Drayton? Drayton family. Anyway, and then
no, Sawyer.
Is it Sawyer?
Right, you're thinking of I can't remember the actor's name, but he plays Drayton Sawyer.
Drayton, okay. So then in the 4th movie, that's just another, Kilmer and Vilmer, whatever the fuck his name is. That's just another branch of that fucking family. I mean, they could be all over Texas. You know how many people in my family are all over this fucking country? And they could all be fucking cannibalistic idiots, and they could all have a Bubba. Why not? They're all 3 different Bubbas. I don't know. It is, yeah. Well, and it's great because Toby Hooper made both of them.
Well, I mean, the thing with yeah, I don't know. The thing with that is like I forget what I was gonna say. Fuck.
No, nothing really fits with what Hooper established in the first 2 movies, if you really think about it. I Love in the Heat of the Night. The show or the movie? Or the song? Anyway, that can you think about it? I wrote this whole article about trying to understand the Texas Chainsaw Massacre timeline. It's on thehorrorsyndicate.com. The show, that's very random, but thank you. Grew up in Texas, and people talk about TCM as if it really happened. Grew up in Illinois, and people thought Haddonfield, Illinois was real, so I understand that. Bubba in the heat of the night. So anyway, let's get back on track to Halloween Ends, so we can end this show, because I got an 8-hour drive ahead of me tomorrow. You want to go to the numbers?
Do that.
So Halloween Ends, it got 1,500 rates from our followers, and it came out with a 52%. I thought would be lower than that, to be completely honest. Not because of my personal feelings per se, but because of the amount of hate I saw. I saw more hate because with the Horror Syndicate, until we got extremely big. We're not that big. We're not big or anything, but like when we started getting more and more followers, I saw every single comment, and I would say more than 8 out of 10 of them, 80% of them were negative. So I was surprised that this got up to 52%. And honestly, I do feel like that's a fair score for this one. It's not the lowest at all. I think it's the third lowest because Halloween Resurrection is going to remain the lowest probably until the end of time. And I think either 5 or 6 is the next one down. Or maybe it's Halloween 2. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But one thing I will say is Halloween 3 is really, really low rated. It's only like in the 60s, and people should be ashamed of themselves. Anyway, what do you think of this score? Do you think it's accurate, or do you think it should be higher or lower, or what? Do you think it'll raise over time? That's the other question.
And it's hard to say because of how subjective everything is, but like I will say that 52%, I guess, fits if you look at it from a Halloween film perspective. I think from a technical perspective, it should probably be a little bit higher because, again, I think the Corey character and his story and the acting from Rohan Campbell is really good. It's really strong.
Strong, yeah.
This movie is
really strong too.
This movie has like a lot of really good ideas in it, and not everything's perfect about it, but there are, the score is great. I mean, one of the things we never touched on tonight was the scores for all three of these movies, which are the finest in the series.
I think you're correct in saying that. I do think this one's the weakest of the three, though, as far as the scores go. And I mean the musical score.
I actually love the score in this the most.
You're a liar.
I am not a liar. I've said this since the beginning.
I know.
I love Carpenter's score for this movie. There's a lot of great tracks.
So, do you want to hear some comments?
Would love to.
Because we have some comments here from our post that I posted. Was that today? I don't remember. I didn't even get to embrace Werewolf Wednesday today. I only got one up because I've been so busy. It's not the best, but it is also not the worst. I think, like with most of the Halloween films, people will find flaws apart from the original, of course. Ha ha ha. I think they were brave with the direction it took, but it should have been built up over the trilogy, as I said before, rather than crammed into this movie. It probably didn't help that Kills was left on a cliffhanger ending that people thought it would continue from there. That's 100% true, too. Yeah. So that was from John Lamacroft. Greg Jarvis, while the scenes with Laurie and Michael were satisfying, I found that the whole Corey arc was misguided for the end of a trilogy. I do agree with that. In another film, it may have worked, but here it felt shoehorned in, not to mention the fact that a lot of things added to make it fit felt contrived in a big way. Corey and Allison's relationship, for instance, which just made the film more off feeling. I didn't hate it by any stretch. It was well made and entertaining, but it wasn't at all what the end of a reboot trilogy that was designed to be a return to the original's essence should have been. Okay, David Lockhart, here's a good one. I hated it. What was the point of introducing Corey in the last movie of the series? It didn't make sense to me. Michael deserved more than a basically cameo. I liked it, but it not my favorite. I feel like this would have been better as a middle film, having Michael start out Weekends from the Fire. Okay, I can't read that one.
I agree with that sentiment.
Which one?
That last one you just read.
Having Michael start out Weekends from the Fire?
I feel like what they should have done was start off kills with Michael escaping the fire, killing all the firefighters, then do a time jump.
Oh yeah, that
so
would be good.
He's weakened from his early confrontation with Laurie, and then there's the time jump, and then I felt like the third film should have been the same night as the second film. So
yeah.
Michael comes back at the end of essentially Corey's story, and then he's just Halloween Kills level massacre throughout a third film.
See, like I
with
think
the mob mentality in the third.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, Tita. I still think if they would have introduced Corey in the first film of this trilogy, it would have helped. And it didn't have to be. And I mentioned this before when we were talking off camera, off camera. That he relatively around the same age as Allison. He's a little bit older, I think. I don't know, but they could have shown him, mentioned him, brought him up somehow, and had that whole tragedy with the kid happen at some point. And I do agree. They should have Halloween Kills should have been a completely different movie, and maybe that's the movie Corey Cunningham should have been a part of, because they really in Halloween Kills spaced out in the looking for Michael Myers, and made it kind of like an homage to Halloween 4 in some ways, where they didn't need to do that. Michael should have come out taking care of the firemen and the mystery of where'd Michael go, or if it even was Michael, because like as far as Laurie knew, he was burning, although she did scream "Let it burn," which is one of my favorite lines in the series, by this series. Let it burn. But I don't know. There are different ways I think that could have made it better for me. But there are plenty of people that like this movie, and there's still a lot of people that hate it. Jeremy Abney, a longtime follower, says my least favorite Halloween film in the whole franchise. Hated it. A lot of people say this as well. I liked it. It's basically Christine in Halloween skin. I don't know. It is what it is. It's here. And you're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it, or who knows, maybe it'll grow on you like a moldy Michael Myers mask. Poorly written. Plot made little sense. Honestly, this one and Kills didn't even need to exist. They ruined a good thing for me. Sure. I just don't watch the other two. And I wasn't gonna buy Halloween Ends. I'm not gonna lie. It was just a movie I didn't think I ever needed to own, but I did get it because it was on sale. And I'm not lying. I was not gonna buy it. I was like, that's just not something I ever want to see again. And it kind of is, to me. I'll probably watch it again, but anyway, yeah. Looking towards the future, though, I feel like we're almost guaranteed there's going to be a Halloween movie in 2028. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, 50-year anniversary.
Yeah,
perfect time to have one come out. And if they don't, they're fucking fools.
They are fools. Well, they were fools in 2007. Why not push it to 2008? 40th anniversary.
Okay, I can kind of understand that one, I guess, because there was the whole thing with Mustafa dying. I don't know.
Yeah.
They were trying to figure out the series at the time and all that.
You have to buy it.
Here, they would be extremely foolish to not have a movie be released in 2028.
I'd say there are probably 7 or 8 poorly written Halloween films.
Is asking how many aren't poorly written?
How many Halloween films aren't poorly written? So I'm saying there are 7 or 8 poorly written Halloween films, which would mean there are probably 5 or 6 that are well written. Because I do think Halloween 2, Halloween 3, and Halloween 4 and Halloween 2018 are pretty well written. That's my opinion.
Halloween 2, for the most part.
I don't care how drunk John Carpenter was when he wrote it.
Yeah. Halloween 3, I love this. I love Halloween 3.
I do too. I love Dr. Chalice.
Yeah. Halloween 4 is fairly well written.
I think it's better well written. There's just some things I don't understand about that movie, but I think it's better written than you give it credit for. I mean, not you, but in general. I think it's a pretty decent story, and they got around not being able to get Jamie Lee Curtis back. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, Halloween 2 was written fine. He was drunk as fuck. I mean, that just goes to show how great of a writer John Carpenter truly is.
I mean,
then again, Seth probably writes all his articles while he's drunk.
I was just gonna say that.
I knew you would. I think Halloween 5 was extremely poorly written. Halloween 6 was extremely poorly written. I think H2O was a film to cash in on movies like Scream.
But it wasn't poorly written.
I think it was. I think it was based on some of it was better than what some of the other ideas were.
The way that they handled Laurie's
PTSD,
I thought was fairly well written.
I like it better than I liked in Halloween 2018.
I thought she had some good material to go with when she was opening up to George Clooney 2.0 about her past. Some of the dialogue was not great. It was a product of its time, but
yeah, well, no, that's part of the problem with it for me. Is it's 100% a product of its time. That's why I think it was kind of a lazy movie. The PTSD stuff was great, but I don't like, where was Michael Myers for 20 years? That's my number one question. Where the fuck was he? And he just showed up
washing his tights.
Yeah, at home washing his tights. Like, seriously, because like all of a sudden he shows up at Marion Crane's house in 2018 or 1998. Why? Was he waiting for Loomis to die? You know, I mean, this is a follow-up to Halloween 2, and by the end of Halloween 2, it does look like they both died. But I guess they decided to keep them alive to make, you know, further sequels like 4, 5, and 6 anyway. But like, seriously, what was he doing for 20 years? You know, and then like, sure, he knows how to drive, but he knew how to get to where all the way out to fucking California. How did he pay for it? How did he finance this trip? You know, I mean, he's leaving from Illinois. It took us 4 days to drive from Illinois to California, and we had to stop and stuff. It's just logistically, it doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Well, I mean,
and that kid's scared of a spider? Get the fuck out. Sorry.
Well, I mean, clearly Michael was selling drugs or was prostituting himself out.
Well, like, seriously, what was he doing for 20 years? At least Halloween 4, we knew he was in a vegetative state for 4. You know, he was still getting, like, taken care of for 10 years, you know? And same thing with Halloween 2018. We knew where he was. In H2O, we have no fucking clue where he came from. Did he have a family? Did he finally open up to somebody and give them his life, and then tragically they died, and he's like, fuck it, I'm going to go kill my sister again?
Well, I mean, but that's the whole thing with the Shape, though, is that he's supposed to be surrounded with mystery.
He's not the Shape in H2O. He's Michael Myers at that point.
Well, he's brother. He's Wide Eyes McGee. I mean,
I would have rather have seen a full movie of Reverend Sayer than this fucking H2O abomination. I think H2O might be my second least favorite. I'm not afraid to say it.
I just don't think writing wise it was bad quality.
Dude, there are so many problems with the reason for this movie even existing. It shouldn't even exist the way it is. It makes zero sense. That's why the writing's bad. Sure, Lori's PTSD is great, and there's some good stuff with her son. But once you get past that and everything that happens after that, it's not very good. Like everything that happens with Josh Hartnett's characters, the way he stays behind after pleading to go to Yosemite so bad, and he stays behind. Fuck that movie. That movie's stupid. I'm sorry. You can like it. I mean, Rene Rivas loves it so much that he based his own fan film on that movie existing.
Well, it's not a movie that aged well.
No, it didn't. Well, I didn't like it initially. That until Resurrection came out, that was my number 7 Halloween movie. Fucking hated it. It was so stupid, in my opinion. Like everything, I was like, I kept asking how, why, watching that movie in 1998. And now I could barely sit through it. The only thing I think I like about that movie is the budding writing career of Ronnie. LL Cool J's character. That's about all I can stand. I mean, and then he's the only one who's realistic here. He tells fucking Josh Hartnett to cut his fucking hair or comb his hair or whatever. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with Josh Hartnett? Somebody should have punched him in the goddamn face and shaved his head. I hate H2O. I think I hate it more than any of the other ones. I just, for some reason, I can't say Resurrection is better than H2O because it is born of H2O.
Well, because Resurrection is example of poorly written.
That one's really poorly written. Michael was waiting for another family member to turn 17. Oh, my nephew is 17. Now let's go get him. H2O relies on your knowledge of the story as a viewer more than its own plot to give context. The Shape is a mysterious prostitute.
Exactly.
I like that. That's good. We'll watch H2O just as its own movie. I just can't. I can't with that movie anymore. You got some hard feelings against it. No, actually, I like Josh Hartnett a lot. I just hate the fact that he cut his hair like that on purpose. Like what the fuck, man? What an edgelord. You know, I think he's a great actor. I like that he's not in a ton of shit. And so it's kind of great to see him. I love The Faculty.
Well, I mean, he made a good point because like his whole, if you watch the what was it called, Blood is Thicker Than Water documentary from H2O, like he's like, no teenager is really like, not every teenager is like perfect in the morning, so he intentionally messed up his hair, and I don't know.
Well, he's one of those guys that is gonna be attractive no matter what. But let me tell you, I'm one of those guys that wasn't. I made sure my hair was on point before school every day.
Right, but I was the guy who didn't give a shit.
I didn't really either. I wore hats all the time. But well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. That bugged me that he even said that he cut his hair like that for a reason. I can't remember what it was, but it was like,
no. Well, they put like shit in his hair and they try to make it look great, and he intentionally did this to kind of just reflect more of a teenager. And I think I don't know. I'm not gonna
as somebody who's cut their own hair, it's not easy. Anyway, no, I have a lot of problems with H2O. I've never been a fan of it from the jump. This was like the most disappointed I think I had ever been in a Halloween movie to date. Like Halloween Ends may confuse me, but like I don't think I was as disappointed as I was with H2O. I can't with that movie. It's just not good. And I hate these Scream clones. And why'd they have to do it with a Halloween movie? And they took him out of like when Donald Pleasance died, Halloween died. What? Huh?
Yeah.
Come in. Yes. Why? What's the matter? You need something? You need a good kick in the ass. That's what that boy needs. A good swift kick in the ass. Nothing. I'll be done in a few. Anyway, yeah, way off track. When we will get to Halloween, as a series at some point in October, I think, when we did with this show, which is now called Horror Movie Massacre. We're just gonna massacre bitches, and the bitches are the movies. But anyway, yeah, Halloween. We were gonna go through every single movie. I almost don't feel like we need to do these, but we haven't revealed our own scores, so we have to. Sad face. Uh, I love talking Halloween, regardless of whether or not I like any of the movies. And to be honest, other than I do think H2O is my least favorite. Holy shit. I'm like starting to think more and more about how much I hate that movie. Because and I know Nate hates when people say it, but I think that movie sucks. Just plain and simple. It just sucks. There are good things about it. I love seeing Janet Leigh in the car from Psycho. That was cool. I love Easter eggs in movies. And I love Jamie Lee Curtis's performance in the movie. And it has one of the best fucking scenes in the entire series. When she's holding that axe in the middle of that quad or whatever in the campus, and she just screams, Michael! That's awesome.
Yeah.
But the rest of the movie it falls extremely short for any kind of good movie. Yeah, but anyway, September and October, we'll be talking about a lot of Halloween movies, beginning with Halloween Ends, oddly enough. So it'll be kind of redundant. I think it'll be fun to talk about Resurrection, though. Call me crazy. Call me wild. I actually know we're starting with the Rob Zombie movies, aren't we?
Oh, I thought we were doing the series in reverse.
In reverse. Okay, that's the one we're doing the series in reverse. Okay. So, anyway, yeah, this was an interesting show. Lori figures out that Judith was 17 in 63. She was 17 in 78, and John is 17 in 98. So is 17 the dangerous number for Halloween? I mean, that tracks really, because Judith was in high school, I believe, right? Don't the death date isn't on the tombstone, is it? Or birth date? I think it just says Judith Myers, doesn't it?
I thought it was.
I'll tell you something. Judith looked like she had some nice tits. Just gonna throw that out there. When she's being stabbed by Michael in the beginning of the movie, does she say evil?
I thought she said Mikey.
It sounds like she says evil to me. Watch it again. I know you never want to watch Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, the immortal classic. You never want to see that again. But when that's happening, at one point, I swear to God, she says evil. Evil! Anyway. Do you want to, you have anything? Best part about Resurrection was the guy gets out of his cell and hands Michael the mask. Oh, yeah. Can you sign this? That's what he should. You don't like that. You hate the opening of Resurrection. That's why I'm excited to talk about Resurrection. You hate it so much. He did a ranking video on our YouTube channel for all the Halloween movies. Talked 17 minutes about the opening of fucking Resurrection and how much he hated it. And poor Seth, I was watching like, oh my God, man. Like, because I had to edit it. I'm like, Seth, let's cut this down. But he couldn't. There's no way you could have. Yeah, I don't know. Resurrection's a hot mess, but it's one of those movies that I think that it's okay to be a mess. Or H2O has no reason to be as bad as it is. It should have, and they should have hired Rick Rosenthal, right? Is that who did the movie?
For Resurrection, yeah.
Or was it? Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Steve Miner. Like Steve Miner was H2O. Like, what the fuck, man? Like,
well, I mean, you would think the guy that made Friday the 13th parts 2 and 3 would make it.
Yeah, I mean, he was a legit horror director. He did House, and the House was a good horror movie, I thought. Oh, How the Mighty Have Fallen, I guess. Really, I thought it was great. Well, okay. I don't know. That's, who knows what I said or you said. Anyway.
About the beginning of Resurrection.
Well, there's a 17-minute clip I could probably show you where Seth explains why it's terrible.
why I think it's terrible.
Yes, Seth. Yes, you are Seth.
Me personally.
Yes. There's Michael Myers. Or is that Corey? I think it's Corey, actually.
Michael
Anyway, let's go back over the scores real fast and we'll get our asses out of here. So Halloween 2018, wrong one. It has a solid 88, and I think it falls about third or fourth. I can't remember if it's above or behind Halloween 4 in the overall community rankings, but I do think that's fair. Care to comment?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, Halloween Resurrection has or Halloween Resurrection, Jesus Christ. I need to go to bed. Halloween Kills has a score of 82%. I think that should be lower, personally.
That actually surprises me with the amount of backlash that movie gets.
Yes, I totally agree. It was kind of a surprise. Part of me wants to redo the Halloween series before we do Halloween, to see if anything changes because this was also before we got a big run of followers, because I think we were still in the 20s, 20,000s,
Yeah.
When that one was scored, or all of the Halloweens. Corey Cunningham, Halloween Ends, got a poultry 52%. I don't know how I feel about that score, honestly. It's a movie that I don't see myself revisiting. Like, every year I give myself the chance on the Rob Zombie movies, which I'm not a big fan of. But same thing with H2O. I try to find a way to enjoy those movies. This one, I just don't feel like there's a point. That's a prostitute. Okay. To rewatch this one, I feel like of all the Halloween movies, this one has the least rewatchability for me. What about you?
It's a pretty big drop.
Yeah, it's 30% drop.
Yeah. I don't know. It's always going to be divisive, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The score may go up as more people are accepting of it. But
leading up to it, I think I will throw it back up there, maybe in August.
Yeah.
I'll probably forget anyway, because we should be at 40,000 hopefully by that time. Anyway, that's about all we got for the night. Thanks for joining us for a second show. We talked about, and man, I had a great time on the last show. Earlier tonight, we did a whole show on our favorites of 1984, which there was no Halloween movie that year. And that's on the YouTube channel. So, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are interested in being a part of the Horror Syndicate, as far as writing, or perhaps one day talking to me and Seth live, hit me up. But you must subscribe to the Horror Syndicate YouTube channel. You have to. Got to be a part of the. Don't be a part of the problem. Be a part of the solution. Yeah, the 1984 show was a lot of fun, and hopefully we get to do another one of those, because we got to talk about Die Hard at some point, right? Even though this is a horror page. Otherwise, if we don't, you know what that does? It makes me
an asshole.
So, yeah. Anyway, Seth, anything else you want to say before we pop out of here?
Evil Dies Tonight.
Yeah, it's back! Just for today. I wish I still had that picture of you with Tommy Jarvis's body. I have it still. It's just not on here. For the original. Yeah. Anyway, have a great night. We will be back on Wednesday with Horror Movie Massacre with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I believe, right?
Yep.
And it's a new night. We flip-flop nights with Discourse, the big show, the main show, will be on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. on the East, which makes that, you guessed it, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. As far as Horror Movie Massacre, I'm loving that, by the way. We'll be doing that show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. And yes, you guessed it, 6 on the West Coast. I need to go to bed. Holy shit. I gotta get up and like drive for 8 hours soon. You guys have a great night. No matter how bad or good any of the Halloween movies are, honestly, even Halloween Ends and H2O, they're probably worth watching. They're probably better than most horror films out there. Actually, I can say with great confidence, they are better than most horror films out there. So have a great evening. Have a great Memorial Day weekend if you're in the States, because I know we have a lot of people who are not in the States. And watch some good horror this weekend. The Horror Syndicate page will probably be pretty dead this weekend because I will be gone. Anyway, yeah, that's it. Let's go